So today we have Yamaha R7 and R6 in the exact same specs. So you can truly compare the difference between these two new bikes. If you aren't familiar with it, the Yamaha R6 used to be Yamaha's basically flagship bike. They used it in racing a lot. It had the super high revving 4-cylinder engine. It revs up to what, 17? Yep, up to 17,000 RPM. And they recently discontinued this bike, and it has been replaced by this guy, the Yamaha R7. So with the R7, basically their goal was to make it a little bit more budget friendly, more friendly for a newer rider bike, and they put a 2-cylinder in it versus a 4-cylinder. It revs a lot lower, but it has a bit more torque. It's a very similar engine from the one in the MT-07. But today we're just gonna hop on both and see the differences between the two. Visually, you could see the front end. The R6 does not have this center headlight that the R7 has. I really like the R7's front end look better. It also has these fins that the R7 does not have. And the mirrors I like better. They have the integrated turn signals, whereas R7 doesn't. Also the forks. The R6 has the gold forks. R7 does not. I mean, the rest of the bikes, they look very, very similar. Visually, the sides are very similar. Back end, there's a few minor differences between the two bikes. We were noticing that this rear end is a little bit more narrow on the R7 versus the R6. It's wider and it has the slats in the middle. And then the only other difference we could see from the back is the rear shock setup. This one's mounted horizontally, whereas this one's mounted vertically. So we're gonna take them both out for a ride and see how they compare. Alright, so I'm starting off on the R7. Let's see how she is. The R6 has a two-brother slip-on it, so it could be a little quiet. It's definitely smooth. It's definitely smooth. right. First impressions.
Huh?
First impressions.
Of this?
Yeah.
It's a different world. What do you think of that?
Dude, it's fun.
Yeah.
The torquiness, I understand why they did it now.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very easy to access the power.
Yeah.
It's light and it feels very throwable, like a R3.
Yeah, you're going ham those corners.
It's very easy to wheelie too.
Yeah.
Did you see I popped a few? Dude,
What?
you can't replace an old school needle gauge.
No, you can't. This, like, it's cool, but it doesn't do it. You know?
Yeah. There's something about me that doesn't trust an electronic gauge either.
I don't either.
So, do you know what the modes are?
I just live in standard.
Alright. Oh, man. Yo, this needs to be adjusted so it's down.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I can't do that right now. Damn, those brakes are touching. Oh, god damn it, we got traffic already. Oh yeah, this is way touchier. Already a different beast, bro. This feels like a different beast, bro. This feels like a different beast.
I know.
Holy shit.
Dude, I think this fucking rips, bro.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude. I thought that felt quick.
Yeah.
This feels like a different animal, dude. Holy shit. Got back from riding them both, and I think me and Johnny have the same conclusion on these bikes. The R6 is definitely a superior bike if you are experienced and you're gonna do mostly track riding where you're revving it up and getting the most out of the engine. But as a bike to get into sport bikes on, the R7 would be amazing. It's way more approachable to ride. It feels lighter. The power is a lot more accessible. I mean, that's pretty much to be expected. That's kind of why they built the bike. But just after riding them back to back, it's very apparent that this bike, it just feels a lot faster overall. It feels like it would smoke this thing in a straight line. And this is definitely more of a sense of occasion. When you're revving it out, and you're hearing that 4-cylinder scream. This is my pick. But I understand why Yamaha did build this bike, so I'm glad I got to experience both of them. If I was to recommend a bike, I would say if you're coming from, say, like a 650 style bike or like an R3 or something, this would be an amazing bike to have, the R7. The power would feel familiar to you and it would feel very accessible while you're in a sport bike position. So Yamaha, I get why they did it, but I'm still gonna miss this thing. So hopefully you guys like seeing these bikes back to back. They both look sick, so can't complain on looks. But yeah, I have to admit, even though it's not a Honda bike, I love this R6.